Hello, fashion enthusiast here. Welcome to TF Designs. I'm TIA, and today I'm going to be showing you how I sew the stylish office gown. I have a video which is a part one that talked on how you can cut this gown yourself. So this was my final look, and I just decided to use this color because this was what was available. I hope you love it. Okay, the first thing I did here was to pin the two princess seams together, the two cutouts on the front part. So that is what I am doing. As you can see, I just pin right side facing right side, and I sew 0.5 inches. And at this point, you want to ensure you're not too fast, neither are you too slow. If you have to be slow, please take your time to be slow. Ensure that what you are doing is accurate, because I'm not a beginner. I'm not necessarily marking, but if you're a beginner, I would advise you can mark down your 0.5 inches, as this will aid you in sewing effectively. Okay, so after pinning and joining the first side, then I just flip over. I had to notch, please. This is very important. It helps your project sleep well. Then I went to the second part that has the cutout on the shoulder, and I also join that part together and trim the excess. Now this is the shoulder. Remember I told you we are going to be cutting two piece, right? So now what I did was the right side facing right side. So it means I'm sewing on the wrong side, as you can see. Then I also sewed about 0.25 inches because that was the sewing allowance I left when I was cutting on my fabric. So I'm just sewing at toward the right side, and at this point, I trimmed every excess. As you can see, I trimmed every excess. Then I also went on to top stitch. Please note at this point, for you to know the right place to top stitch, try to put this shoulder, like the way you see I'm placing it, try to put it to ensure that it's facing the right side so you don't have to do double work. So having known where my right side should be, I just top stitch on this, and that's just it. Very easy to do. So this is just going to help this particular shoulder sit well. And yes, this is the final effect. Okay. All right. Now the next thing I did here was to indicate my back darts, as you can see, for the front and the back. And I just went on to the wrong side, and I had to sew down my back darts. So that's what I did. I sewed down my back darts, and whenever you're sewing your back darts, you want to just pay attention to what I'm doing here. Just look at it. Look at the way I'm going towards the part I'm ending. It seems I'm going in more, okay? And also, I don't stop sewing like that. I leave some extra thread, then I tie my darts. That is the best way. You can see the effect, right? That's the best way you can sew your darts. Okay, now this is for the overlap. I would advise you to use an interfacing here if your fabric is not too like structured, but I'm having a structured fabric. It's a cotton fabric, so I did not have interfacing, and moreover power was low, so I had to make do with what I have. So now I went on to that neckline, as you can see, and just look at the way I'm pinning. I'm pinning from the back, okay? Not on it. I just joined. I'm pinning from the back, as you can see. And I don't know the way to explain this better than this, but then I'm pinning from the back. And please pay attention to this edge. Now, toward the part that this shoulder is, I left a little piece about 0.5 inches, and I'm going to be top stitching directly on it. Okay, at the end of the day, when I flip over, this is the effect it's going to have. So now just pay attention and follow me the way I'm going to be stitching this. Just look at this, and if you have to rewind, I would suggest you do so. So I'm just sewing about 0.5 inches, which was the allowance I left when I was cutting directly on fabric. So now to other end, yeah, it's a bit tricky at this point. You want to just back stitch at this point. When you get to that extreme, that line that connected the shoulder together with the princess seam. So now you can see I have some part of the fabric still left open. So what I did here was just to take it up and then I top stitch directly. So doing this will ensure you have a clean finish, a neat finish, and of course everything is secured. If you also have a serger at this point, please weave or overlock that particular fabric. Yes, the fabric for the overlap. Okay, so yeah, I'm just trying to trim everything to ensure that my project is neat and okay. So you can do the same. Now this is what the back look like, and now you can see I've been able to create the overlap. This is what the front look like. Okay, now, so the next thing I'm going to be doing now was just to put my front and my back. Okay, remember when I was cutting the neckline for the back, I did not change anything. So at this point, just for me to be accurate, now I just trim out the excess on the back shoulder. So what I did was to place the front on it and I mark both shoulder on the back patterns after joining the two pack patterns to it. So now you can see that this is my new shoulder width. I have a new shoulder width for the back pattern so that it can be aligned with the front pattern. So after marking that, I also went on to cut facing for my back pattern, and I just went on to sew my facing right side facing right side on the back pattern. I sew this together and I also top stitch. So I did the same for the right and for the two pack pattern rather. So now at this point, I'm just pinning down my back pattern together based on my zipper allowance. You want to mark out your zipper allowance at this point clearly so that you'll be able to layer your front and your back pattern together. So now if you also have your iron, just try to press this down and try to make sure everything slips well. Okay, now so the next thing I'm doing now is to join both the front and the back pattern together. And to do this, I started with my shoulder seam. As you can see, I'm starting with my shoulder seam, and I just pin this down with a pin so that I'm going to have something very easy, something very clean, and I can work with this conveniently. So now I'm going to be sewing the two side shoulder side, then also took in my seam allowance for the side. Okay, I sew the sides together, join the side together rather. So now at the end of the day, next thing I'm going to be doing now is to join my sleeve. So for my sleeve, I went in by 0.5 inches on that folded part toward the edge, and here if you look at the sleeve very well, it has like pleats on the shoulders, like on the wrist region. So now I just look for the midpoint, as you can see, and I took pleats. Just look at the way I'm taking my pleats. Whatever I'm doing to the right side, I'm doing to the wrong side of the sleeve. So now I'm just trying to check, is it accurate with my wrists cut out? No. So I took in another one. So this is just like a freestyle. There's no particular rule over here. So now after doing that, then I try to check with my wrist pattern. Then I discovered that yes, this is accurate now. Okay, so now this is why it's very important for you to cut your wrists pattern on fold. It's just going to help your work make it very easy. Okay, so at the end of the day, I've joined my two sleeves together. This is what it looks like, the wrist part and the main sleeve. So this is what it looks like now. So what I'm going to be doing next is just to join the sleeve to my front and back pattern that has been joined together, which is now my upper bodies. So now look at the way I'm going to be fixing my sleeve. The right side facing the right side, I look for the midpoint on the sleeve and I join this starting from the shoulder midpoint on my bodies. So now I just went with my pin and I pinned this down and I sew that part. Now this is my skirt block. Like I told you, this is very easy to do. Just place your back block right side facing right side. The first thing you want to do is to measure about 7 inches for your zipper allowance, and after doing that, just sew down to where you want your pencil when you want your slit to start. If you don't want a slit, then you can close that up totally. So now after doing this, the next thing I went on to do was to join the side seams of the skirt together. And yes, the side seam, I joined this by about inch. So now after doing that, this was the final look of my on my skirt. As you can see, I have the side seam joined together already. I also have my slit, then I have my zipper part on the upper part. I have my dart. I've sewed in my dart for the front and the back, and I've joined this piece together. I have to do this off camera, please. Okay, probably in another tutorial I'll be showing you how to do this effectively. So I want to advise you press down your seam here so that everything can lay flat. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to fold the lower end of my skirt, 0.5, then 0.5 again, that is inches. And after doing that, I'm just going to place my skirt pattern on, I'm going to be placing, joining it together with my bodies rather. So now at this point, what I'm doing is to find the midpoint of the skirts and the midpoint of the bodies. So that was what I just did there. And after finding the midpoint, I joined both midpoints together, and I had to hold this down with a pin to help my work, to make it easy. So now I ensure that both that are properly aligned. The bodies that and the skirts that are properly aligned. This is very important. If your data are not aligned, then something is wrong. So after joining the two pieces together, this is what I have at the end of the day. I had to put on my short wig here so that you can see the front, you can see the whole look together. But I think I prefer to wear this with my long wig. So this is the final look. What do you think, fam? Do let me know your suggestion in the comments section. Thank you very much. See you in my next video. Bye.